If you truly wish to live from your highest timeline, then it is imperative to protect your energy, both on the spiritual plane, on the energetic and mental plane, and obviously on the physical plane. What happens whenever we don't protect our energy? It leaks out into everything that we do. So it's almost like you're walking around with this leaky valve of energy just being sucked away. Even if it's caused from somebody in your life or from a specific situation, if you don't shield yourself from that energy, you'll take in all of that and it starts to eat at you from the inside. It's like if you have a giant shield and you have a tiny hole where there's an opening. Once they get into that hole, it starts to spread. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger until the whole entire shield just collapses. So it is imperative for you to not only protect your energy, but to embody the energy of your highest timeline. And you can only do that by protecting yourself. Stick with me to the end, because the last tip that I have has literally saved my life. Hi, I'm Cody, and I help people to activate their divine consciousness fire codes that will ignite their heart ablaze and open the door to limitless possibilities. The first tip that I want to share is energetic shielding and energetic cloaking. So first off, I want to start off with the cloaking, because I saw this online. I really like this concept of creating this cloak around you, this energetic cloak. So just visualize a full-length sweeping cloak that has been made from the darkest shade of blue. This cloak not only serves to protect your energy, but it also serves as a way to hide your energy away from other toxic or vampiric energies that might be lingering, whether physically or energetically. This cloak has a hood that you can even pull up to protect your crown chakra. You can even visualize the lining of it being whatever color you envision. It could be gold or silver or pink, whatever color that you wish to line this cloak with. Whatever you feel like you need to protect yourself, envision that. And of course, shielding. I talked about this in the quantum healing video, that you can create these shields around us, that you can create this shield by simply visualizing a gold light around you, which acts as your personal shield. And then outside of that, you want to envision blue shield. Blue is used as a way to basically protect and cut cords. This is often associated with Archangel Michael. Just want to make sure that it's associated with the highest level of that being, of that essence, of that energy. Outside of that is a green shield, which represents healing, and that is from Archangel Raphael. Also want to inform you to make sure that you are calling upon the highest version of these beings, the true divine essence of these beings, if you are going to call on them. I don't necessarily call on them, but I use these shields as a way to protect myself, because of the collars. I represent different frequencies. So even if you don't necessarily connect to the archangels, you can still envision these shields. But if you do connect with them, just make sure that you are calling in the highest version of them, because there are a lot of fake energies out there that are pretending to be something that they're not. So a lot of channelers and a lot of readers may tap into an energy thinking that it's Archangel Michael, for instance, but really they're tapping into a more archonic version of it that's basically just wearing the mask so that it can tap into that energy. It might say good things, it might say things that you need to hear, but it's also going to imbue that with some misleading energy oftentimes. So just be mindful of that, because the energies that you let in and utilize and work with is going to leak into your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual states of consciousness as well. The next tip, number 2, is to use power words. So these are great for like incantations. Affirmations are good, but the problem with affirmations is that we don't speak to ourselves in terms of affirmations when we actually believe this thing that it is that we're telling ourselves. If you're constantly saying a word to yourself to empower you, that's going to create some dissonance, because whenever you actually believe yourself to be something, you don't need to constantly repeat that to yourself. So a video that I was watching from Todd Herman, who wrote the Alter Ego Effect, he was talking about, instead of speaking in terms of affirmations, speak in terms of questions. Ask yourself questions that will invite you to naturally find that answer. So the example that he gave was something along the lines of, what is it that makes me a great coach? Or what is it that makes me a great father? Or what is it that makes me a great lover? And allowing ourselves to answer that and to allow that to naturally unfold and to give us feedback, and to constantly ask ourselves the right questions that will invite the right answers. Because we think in terms of questions. And the example that he was using is, if you go into a party, especially if you're supposed to be meeting somebody there, the first thing you're going to think is, I wonder where so-and-so is. You don't say statements to yourself. You ask yourself questions. Those are your natural affirmations. Those are your natural self-talk. And so it is important to become aware of the language and the power words that you are utilizing. So I got off on a tangent there, but I want to bring myself back, because affirmations can be powerful. I know Les Brown was somebody that has been a huge inspiration to me. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or listened to him, but he's an incredible speaker. He's one of the most well-renowned motivational speakers in the industry. And back when I was in college, he really helped me to get through, and it was his words, these power words that he used, just like the different phrases and the different ways that he would speak, and the tones, and just the whole energy and vibe was like supercharging me, because it was the words that he was saying. It really hits to your soul. And the reason that it's so powerful is because they speak directly to the pain point and the thing that you need to hear in that moment. So what you can also use words like Om, for instance, is a great power word, because you can use that. It's the primordial sound of what created the universe. So as an example, I'll just do a quick Om for you to see how you feel. And if you ever go, I've gone to plenty of yoga festivals and retreats, and done a lot of different events where we'll do a group collective Om. One of my coaches, Aaron Dowdy, I work with him whenever we do like live events, or we do just in-person events, even on Zoom or whatever it may be. We'll do a collective Om activation. And I've also, like I said, gone to a lot of yoga festivals in the past where we did that, and it's super powerful. It really helps to sync everybody up, and it also gets you into your body, as well as just using that power word creates the vibrational ripple that actually has an impact in the physical world. So if you have multiple people doing that, it's going to create a big impact. Okay, so I'll just do it real quick for you. We usually do 3 to synchronize ourselves. And of course 3 is great because Tesla talks about, Nikola Tesla, if you know the secrets of 3, 6, and 9, then you will understand the secrets of the universe. It's just another powerful tool that you can use at your disposal. Also using words like love, peace, compassion, ho'oponopono, I believe that's how you say it. The ho'oponopono is basically a Hawaiian phrase for forgiveness. And ho'oponopono simply means, I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I am grateful for you. And just by using this word, it's a power word for which represents something else. Because words are the spells that create our external reality. Whenever we speak a word, that creates a vibrational ripple in the physical world. That vibrational ripple spreads out to infinity, essentially. Because if you think about it, everything that happens creates a ripple effect. Because a word emits a frequency when spoken, or rather a vibration. That vibration ripples out, and especially if you are speaking to somebody that really impacts them, that impact is going to carry on beyond that conversation that you had. It's going to carry on to the next conversation, and to the next one, and to the next one. You could have inspired and completely changed somebody's life that could carry on for generations simply because of something that you spoke into existence, something that you said. And it can also have the opposite effect, to where if you said something to somebody, it could completely shift the direction of their life and completely shatter their sense of self, their sense of life and purpose. I mean, hopefully not, but our words are powerful. And so we want to be mindful of what we are speaking into existence, and what we are saying to other people. Because like I said, words are spells that create our reality. It's important to create the reality that we all wish to live in. Next one, number 3, layers of consciousness. The layers of consciousness that I'm referring to is the many bodies that we have that make up who we are. And I'm not even sure exactly how many we have, but I know that we have several. We have our energetic, our mental bodies, our physical bodies, obviously. We have these layers of consciousness. It's important to focus on each area of our lives, because everything that we do is going to impact the other aspects of ourselves. So if something is happening on the spiritual plane, it's going to ripple down into the physical. And I truly believe that whenever we experience something in the physical, even like you sprain your ankle, or you break an arm, or you stub a toe, or you burn yourself, or whatever it may be, I believe everything that happens is tied to higher realms of consciousness. So even if you may not see what is happening beyond this world, this physical dimension, it doesn't mean that something else isn't happening simultaneously. So if you've ever seen the movie Inception, there are layers of consciousness for which they're diving into their dreams in order to access these. It's like dreams within dreams. And essentially that is how life is, because this physical reality is basically just a dream. It's just another layer of consciousness for which we are coexisting in simultaneously with other aspects of ourselves and other dimensions and other timelines and other levels of consciousness. What happens here is going to ripple out to infinity. And so whenever something is happening in the physical, it's going to ripple up, and then if something's happened in the spiritual, it's going to ripple down. They are essentially quantumly entangled with each other, because the whole aspect of quantum entanglement is whenever you affect one particle, it's going to simultaneously affect the other particle. No matter how much distance is between them, they will instantaneously be affected. There's no lag time. They are essentially one and the same. They're just split. And they've done studies to be able to prove that this exists. So if we understand that this is the way that our body works, as above, so below, then we will see that the physical, the things that we put in our body, the food that we eat, the shows that we watch, the things that we consume on our social media, the people that we talk to, everything in our environment is affecting us, and it's going to ripple out to the other aspects of ourselves, our mental, our energetic and emotional and spiritual bodies. It's going to affect all of those, and also the other timelines for which we're connected. So if you ever notice, at least for me, whenever I have something happening in my physical life, something big, something I'm struggling with, or something I'm feeling a certain way with my girlfriend, like just something's not sitting well with me, or whenever we were in separation, for instance, I would constantly just have dreams like we were talking in these other realms, and it felt so real. But it was like I felt, it was like I knew that she could feel that too, whether it was conscious or not. I knew that she felt it. And I'm under the belief that dreams are simply other realities. They aren't just a dream. They aren't just something that is a figment of our mind and imagination. They are actual realities for which we are simultaneously coexisting in. Now, that might sound a little crazy, but if you've ever looked into like the multiverse theory, it goes really deep into this idea that there are an infinite number of realities based off of the decisions that you make. Anytime that you have a decision that needs to be made, anytime that you have choices, those are going to split off into separate timelines. And if you have multiple choices that you can make, then they're going to all split off into separate timelines. You know, the decision to stay with someone or to leave someone, the decision to go to college or not go to college, or to take this job or not take this job, or to take the leap and to pursue your dreams, or stay where you're at, to, you know, whatever it may be, anything, every decision, even the tiniest decisions are going to create an alternate timeline. And I like, I don't know if you've ever seen Futurama, but they have in there's it's like 1,000 years into the future, and they have a what if machine, and it plays out the scenarios like, what if this happened? What if this decision was made instead? And I always like that idea, that concept, even in thinking about, and I try to think about that in my life when I'm making decisions. I'm like, okay, if I make this decision, how's that going to affect me in the future? And sometimes that can be to my detriment. A lot of times, especially when it comes to making decisions. That's why I've struggled with making decisions, because it's like I'm like playing out all these scenarios in my head. Okay, go this way, go that way. You know, if I do this, then it might in fact impact me here. It's not always the best way to live, but it is a good idea to think about and to be aware of. I like to think of life as a game of chess, because every decision that you make is going to affect what is happening on the board later on. So even the smallest decisions to move your pawn or to move your knight could greatly impact what happens later on. It's important to set yourself up, at least to the best that you can, so that your future self will have a good framework for which they can work from and build from. So just remember, with the layers of consciousness, it's important to be aware of what it is that you're eating and putting in your body. It's important to be aware of your environment and who you're interacting with. It's important to be aware of all the things that you're consuming in your mind, the music that you're listening to even. So just be aware of that, and also be mindful. I like to keep a dream journal and write down my dreams to see how they match up with things that are happening in my life. So that's also a really powerful tool that you can use to help protect yourself. You know, because when we aren't aware of what's happening within us, and also other aspects of ourselves, like in other timelines, I mean, we don't necessarily have to be aware of that, but it is sometimes important to be aware of it, because it can help us, give us a key to our physical reality, like in the here and now. And I've actually had dreams that have given me answers. And I believe Albert Einstein even had a dream that gave him the part to a formula that he had been working on for months. He was able to see it in his sleep, and as soon as he woke up, he wrote it down, because I'm sure if you're aware, I'm sure this happens to you a lot. If you have a dream and you wake up and you don't write it down, throughout the day you're likely going to forget what happened in that dream, right? So this is just another good tool for you to be able to connect with other aspects of yourself, and I believe that is super important for us if we wish to actually protect ourselves, because if we aren't aware of what's happening not only within our bodies and minds and spirit, but also being aware of what's happening in other timelines and other realms, to see how they align with this life. Next one I want to touch on is calling upon your guardians, your higher self, and your ancestors. This one is huge, honestly, because it's it's something that really helps to take us into those other realms of consciousness, because we aren't just living a physical experience. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we have a soul, and through that there are layers of consciousness that we are existing and coexisting in. So it is important for us to have help and assistance, because we aren't here alone. Even in the physical world, you're not able to really truly do anything alone. I mean, if you want to create a business, you need people to not only help you with that business, to give you maybe feedback, and to have partners, and to have people to look up to, for which how to base yourself and to base your business off of can be very helpful. To have business partners as well, but also to have customers. If you wish to grow a business, it's not going to grow if you don't have any customers. It's also important for us to just consider that while we are existing here in the physical, we are also existing in the spiritual realm. So if we call upon our ancestors and our guides, and especially having a altar space is important, is really important, which is basically just like a specific designated area only for connecting to your guides and your spirits, your spirit guides, and those beings for which you resonate most with. Can also be other aspects of yourself. I just recently made a video about the alter ego effect. You can also use this to connect to your alter ego, which can embody a variation of different characteristics and different traits of people or figures throughout history that you may have looked up to. So this could be a good tool for that as well. So for me, I really connect to certain animals. So that is something that I've always really based a lot of my focus and shifting my identity towards, is to be more alignment with nature and the elements within nature. So I've really connected deeply with fire, for instance, and I'm a Leo, so I feel like the lion and the fire is like that fiery lion passion and energy and just ferociousness, for which I want to embody in my life, and the way that I show up with that passion and that love and that fierceness when I need to, So that's something that you can work with as well at your altar space. You can connect to this alter ego or this spirit guide. I have different animal spirit guides, and also I connect with ancestors. Like I was saying at the start with the shielding, you can connect to the archangels. Just be mindful that you're actually connecting to the real archangels, and they are of your highest good and love, unconditional love and truth. So just make sure that you call in those energies with them. And and whatever energies and beings that you feel like can assist you in the higher realms. A lot of people that pass away, maybe a mom or a dad or grandparents or an uncle, or even just a friend, they all can be protectors in other realms. You can call upon them as well to give you guidance and to give you support and to help show you the way. The next one that I want to talk about, number 5, is breath work. Breath work is huge. It's so powerful. And I have had psychedelic experiences that might even bridge what I've experienced on actual psychedelics, because it takes you into your body in a way that nothing else does, because without breath, we will literally die. Breath is life. Breath gives us our bodies the ability to function. The breath that we take in oxygenates our entire body, and it allows the blood to flow through our bodies as well. So we can utilize breath work in a way that we can actually use to shift our consciousness. I like to do, my coach does somatic breath work, and that is so powerful. I've done it on several occasions, and I feel like every time I do it, I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like screaming, because it's like, you're releasing this pent up energy inside of you. It's like when you do it for so long, when you're in the session, He'd play like different songs, and then we would go through the breath work, and through that we would do a certain breathing practice while that song was playing, and it gets really intense. Like, it's hard to even breathe because it's like, you know, it's like it just, your face starts to become numb, your hands start to tingle really intensely, and it's like, it's difficult. So by the end of it, I'm like, for me at least, I'm practically screaming, because it's like, that's just, you know, that's what's coming out of me when I'm like doing that practice. The only thing that I can get out at that point, because I'm feeling like, you know, I'm kind of feeling like that energy is just is it's like this numbing, but also this tingly feeling. It's not necessarily like I'm just numb, but it's like this tingly numbness that it's hard to describe, but it's like I'm not able to breathe in the same way, so I almost have to like, you know, like really push that energy out, so it like really gets to the depths of what's inside of you, and like that really pent up energy. And that energy, once you get that out, it really helps to you know, from there you're not carrying that energy around with you anymore. You're not carrying that load, this heavy weight, and you can finally let go and step into a new version of yourself. That's going to help to protect your energy, simply because you're being more authentic. You're being more open. You're able to open up to aspects of yourself that have been shut off for so long. I had whenever I was doing it, I had a vision of whenever I was a child, whenever I was being born, and I could see, and I could like, it was like I could see like coming out of the light almost. Like, it wasn't like super visual, but it was like, for me, it's more of a feeling. Like it was like I felt it, but I had a faint like vision of seeing through my eyes as a baby coming out. And I just remember the feeling of betrayal when I got circumcised, because, you know, you come out of a womb and you're in this nurturing, loving womb for 9 months, and then suddenly you come out, and then you're getting cut. Like, that is super traumatizing, and something I'm still healing through. And also a reason why masculinity is so toxic, because from birth we're instantly cut. No matter what you believe, that's going to cause trauma within you. Because, I mean, even as an adult, if you cut yourself, that's going to create trauma in your body and your mind. But especially something so sensitive as your genital areas, like, once that's literally the most sensitive on your body. Through that process, like, I felt that betrayal. I felt that energy coming out of me. I was just like, I just had to scream, like, to let it out. And it was just like, I don't know, it was a really big release for me, because I've had a lot of blocks feeling into my body and feeling into these emotions and feeling into these, not necessarily emotions. I've always been able to feel my emotions and to express those in a certain way, but it's like when I need to feel into my body, there's something that has felt blocked off for so long. And I've especially seen it in my relationship, because when I feel like I become detached from my body when I'm with my partner, and I'm not able to like really show up for her. And by breathing into my body, I can really feel a lot more. I can feel a lot more sensations, not only when we are making love, but also when I'm just connecting with her, because my natural inclination is to avoid. That's what I did growing up mostly. I would avoid these conflicts. So through that, I had to release all of that energy that had been carrying with me up until that point. And if you think about it, we carry that with us as a child. No matter what it is, if it causes some sort of trauma in the body, you're going to carry that with you. That is something severe, because it severs like over 20,000 nerve endings. So this is something that I was able to release whenever I did the somatic breathing. But you know, I've had several releases like that not necessarily to that level of of pain. But even just like, you know, I one of the times that I did it, I had like a huge revelation. I was able to see like these symbols shining through a light, and I drew the symbols as best as I could remember them. Actually, now that I think about that, I'd kind of forgotten that happened. So, see, I can go back and revisit that. Maybe, because I remember seeing 3 symbols and there was 1 missing. So maybe by returning back to that, I will be able to bring that missing piece. Anyway, I got off track here. I just wanted to basically get to the point that somatic breathing is used as a way to release this energy out of your body so it can be cleared, so that you can have a more pure vessel. Because going back to one of the previous points, it affects all the layers of your consciousness. So by letting this out, you're going to free up all of that energy, not just in this dimension, this time and space, but also in all the other timelines and all the other aspects of yourself. Another breathing technique is the Wim Hof breathing. If you've ever heard of Wim Hof, he can basically do superhuman things just with the power of his breath. Through Wim Hof breathing, you can literally do like superhuman type of things. Like Wim Hof has literally climbed, I don't remember which mountain it was, Mount Everest. I don't know if it was Mount Everest, but it was one of those major mountains. He climbed in his shorts. And I don't even know if he probably had shoes on, but he had shorts and no shirt on. And if you think like even if you have clothes on, you can lose limbs just from how cold it is. And this man was able to do that to maintain his body temperature in these elevated states, you know, high up on these mountains, and not only not lose anything, but be able to sustain himself and stay warm. So it's really good to regulate not only your body temperature, but to just be able to have more control over your body, so you're able to create that shielding effect. You know, like going back to ways to protect yourself, Wim Hof is able to use his breath to literally protect himself in these severe, crazy weather conditions that would literally kill just about anybody else that would try that. But he was able to regulate his body temperature just with the power of his breath, and that is super powerful. He's been able to accomplish so many feats simply by using his breath. And it shows how powerful it truly is. I like, I don't know if you've ever watched the show Demon Slayer, but they use breathing a lot, total concentration breathing in that. And I really love that because it really focuses on using the breath as a way to basically bridge the gap between the physical and the metaphysical world. So they're able to do like superhuman things with a sword while they're fighting demons just with the power of their breath. And I feel like that speaks in a powerful way as to what is possible with our breath. Even though it's a show, it's still a metaphor, and we are able to tap into deeper levels of consciousness simply through the power of our breath. Next one, number 6, is to create a thriving environment for which you have the domain that will allow you to step into the energy for which you wish to embody. And this is not only physical, but also mental and spiritual. But simply by starting with the physical, by decluttering your space and organizing your space, you're able to free up that stagnant energy. And I've noticed whenever I'm like working on the house, it seems like there are things that happen, opportunities that come into my life as I'm making these changes and doing physical work to the house. Because if you think about, the house is a metaphor for me. So as I fix up the house, it's like the parts of me it almost feels like as I fix up the parts of the house that are in need of repair, the internal parts of me also seem to be getting those same types of repair work, because I manifest the opportunities to bring that healing, to bring that repair work internally. You know, or maybe I attract an opportunity that will give me the chance to step into this, or attract somebody into my life that will reveal to me something that I didn't see before. So by decluttering your space, you're able to create the domain for which you can thrive in. I've talked about that as well in my previous videos. The quantum healing video, I know I talked about that. Creating the domain is something they talk about in Jujutsu Kaisen. It's a show that I watch that's very deeply tied to real aspects. They just give it different names. And I've actually experienced this before. If you go into a domain of another being, especially an etherical being that you're not able to see with your physical eyes, I've felt that before. And I've actually seen my friend like teleport. I didn't see him teleport, but we were out in the woods, and I instantly, like, we were camping, and we had a little campground. We were going out to go get some wood. And as I'm walking out into that space to look for wood, I instantly felt like I am stepping into the domain of another being. It felt like a fairy type of energy. You know, it was like there was some kind of fairy or Bigfoot. I don't know. It was like some energetic beings that I wasn't able to physically see, but I knew that I was stepping into that space. And him and I go to get firewood, and literally, like, you know, we'll say our camp is over here, and him and I are like, you know, wherever in this area. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna head back this way to the camp and drop off this wood. And he is going to go the other way. He starts walking that way, and I start walking this way, and I'm not even that far. It's a 20-second walk, if that. It wasn't that far at all. But as I'm walking back, I almost get to the campground, and I look over, and he's literally like right there walking up to me. And I was like, what happened? I thought you were going to go get wood. And he's like, yeah, I was, but I saw this light in the distance, and I was walking towards it, and the next thing I know, I end up here. And he was like facing the opposite direction when he was looking at this. He thought it was another campground or something. So he starts walking towards it, and the next thing you know, he pops out right beside me. So, you know, I don't know how you can explain that, but I watched him walk the other way, and I didn't hear him beside me the whole time. So, and I'm not exactly a slow walker. So for him to like actually walk the opposite direction and then to somehow be right beside me when I get to the campground, it's not, like I said, it's like a 20-second walk. So it wasn't like he would have had a lot of time to take to beat me there. So that's just an example. So the domain, even creating that externally, but also internally, to as above, so below, to make sure that you are matching the energy, aligning your physical with your internal. Aligning your external with your internal. That will give you the space to thrive and to create and to build from that foundational space. Most importantly, it will protect you because you will have that energy within that space that will be filled with your energy, that will be filled with that light of protection. And it kind of goes back to shielding as well. But your space is your domain. So like your room that you live in. So like your room and your house is your own personal space, your own personal domain. If you have a website, that's like a domain. So, you know, you have your domain name because you have this space that contains certain information about yourself or about your business or whatever it may be, your organization. Whenever you create that domain in your life, and you embody that, when people step into that domain, if they aren't the type of people you want in there, then they will naturally be pushed out of it. And it will attract the people that do fill you with more of that energy. To bring it back to the point, to just create a thriving environment, and simply start by decluttering your space, but also by decluttering your mind, by decluttering your computer. Like, I have a ton of icons up that I need to clear off of my desktop, and every time I clear it off, I tell myself, all right, I'm not going to let it get to this point, and then I get ADHD, distracted, and doing all this jumping here, jumping there, you know. So I don't end up clearing it off normally until it gets backed up. I can definitely feel that within my energy field. It's like that clutter. And I'm not exactly the best at it physically. You know, it's an evolving process for me. But by decluttering your space, you're able to clear out that stagnant energy as well, and to create the environment that you wish to thrive in, and the environment that will protect you, that will give you that energy to lift you up and to propel you forward. And lastly, number 7, to use a totem or some kind of object for which you have a personal connection to. To have this totem as a sign, as a symbol of protection. And I often use different things. I wear necklaces. I normally will wear a wristband that's made of, I don't know if it's solid gold, but it's an ankh bracelet. I like to work with chains. I don't necessarily wear them, but like for me, they're like a totem of protective energy. At least the way that I use it, you know. I use this. So for me, I use that as a way to protect myself in different situations, but also it's just a way to help me focus my energy on something. And so I mentioned this at the beginning, how the totem has literally saved my life. This one time I did something really dumb. I was doing Lyft, you know, dropping people off like Uber, Lyft. So I was driving Lyft. I was parked at a gas station taking a nap. And when I woke up, somebody was coming up to the window and was trying to sell me weed. And I told him I didn't have any money. And he was like, "Come on, man, it's just $5." So I was like, all right. I opened my wallet to show him I didn't have any money, and magically I had exactly $5. So I was like, all right, you know, probably not the best idea, but I'll go ahead and give it to him. Maybe he needs it. Maybe he really does need it for something. I don't know. And so get home, my ex-wife, she was, told her about it, and she was a little sketched, but she was willing to try it with me. I don't even know why I would even think to smoke that, but so anyway, later in the evening, she actually ends up falling asleep. I was at my desk working on something, and then I'm like, I'm gonna try that, see how it tastes. Especially, I don't want her to try it and something happens, so I'm gonna make sure that everything's all right with it. I put it in my bowl, hit it. I believe it was a water bomb. As I'm hitting it, it literally, it was like, just sent me into the biggest spinning spiral that I've ever felt. And suddenly the room started spinning, and all I could do was just collapse. And luckily we had a bed on the floor, so I could just like plop down on the bed. And when I did that, I started having a seizure. Basically went into this dreamlike state. I was in this like misty haze, like I was like floating. It was very peaceful, very magical. But I kept thinking to myself, something feels off, something feels wrong here. This isn't right. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. What is my point of being here? What is the purpose of being here? Like, there's something off. But there was that part of the haze that was trying to just keep me subdued and distracted, and feeling like that this is peaceful, that this just relax into it. But I couldn't, because obviously I knew something was wrong. And right about that moment, I wake up, and there's paramedics. There's paramedics around me, and then my ex-wife and her mom standing there, and her mom had to literally smack me across the face as hard as she could. And I guess it got me to throw up, and that's what brought me back. And so I'm sitting there kind of out of it. I couldn't remember what happened for a little bit. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have smoked that. And so the paramedic, he's taking my vitals, and I felt myself slipping back into that. And I felt this dark energy inside of me, this really demonic, like horn devil type of energy that I thought. It was like I could see it in my mind's eye almost. Well, not at that moment, but I could feel it. And so I started feeling like, but it just felt to me at that point as like a far away, it was like a far away energy. Like I felt myself getting farther and farther away. Like I was like going into my body, like I was like drifting back into this dream state or this hypnotic state, we'll call it. And as he was taking my vitals, they literally started to drop while this was happening. And all I could muster to say was, my crystals. And I blurted that out with whatever energy I could, because I was trying to channel energy into my body. Like I had been working with a lot of healing modalities at the time. I was doing like Reiki I'd do Reiki to my ex-wife and her mom whenever they would need, whenever they would have a headache or something like that. So I had this pouch of crystals that I would carry with me. And one of the stones in there is a Shiva lingam, and it's served as my protective crystal, but also had the other ones in there as well, working together. So I had it in a little pouch, and all I could say was that, my crystals. Right before I like started to fall back into that, and as she gave me my crystals, I held them up to my chest, and I literally felt this force come against me, like I could feel it pushing. And I held it there for a minute, and I kind of moved it to this side, and then after holding that energy, I was able to push it off. And literally, as I did that, my vitals went back up. And in that moment, I saw like that dark, demonic being that was attached to the spice is what it was. It wasn't weed, it was spice. But me, not making the best decisions, decided to do it. And for whatever reason, I felt called to do that in that moment, because it was almost like, for me, possibly it was a test to see what I'm truly capable of. And it literally saved my life, because I literally I would have slipped back and probably had another seizure. I might not have even regained control of my body. Like, I might have completely been separated and replaced by some dark being. And like, that can happen, because when you're in an altered state, you're having seizures. That can happen. I'd had a seizure before that, a couple of years prior, and literally while I was in this space, it was almost like psychedelic, because I was in between dimensions and my eyes were wide open. I knew that they were open, but I literally saw nothing but blackness. So I recommend you carry a totem that will protect you, that will give you that shield to block off whatever outside energies are there, to have something that you can lean on whenever you need an extra boost of protection. Whenever you are in an unsafe space, that's a really good time to have it as well. When you're in an unfamiliar or space that you don't feel safe in, having a totem is huge, or some kind of talisman, or something that you associate with protection. And for me, it was the Shiva lingam. So yeah, those are the 7 ways to protect yourself, and I'll just do a quick recap. Number 1 is energetic shielding. So energetic shielding, also using an energetic cloak. Number 2, using power words. Number 3, the layers of your consciousness, basically focusing on each aspect of yourself, of what you put into your body, mind, and spirit, because it's going to affect all the other layers and aspects of yourself. So your diet, exercise, all those become really important. And also the things that you watch, listen to, and take in as your programming, your subconscious programming. Number 4, to call upon your spirit guides, ancestors, guardian angels, archangels, whatever energies that you feel called to work with. Just ensure that it is in your highest good of divine, unconditional love. Number 5 is breath work. To utilize breath work, such as somatic breathing, Wim Hof breathing, in order to activate and clear out those stagnant energies. In order to clear out those stagnant energies and to activate that fire within you and to utilize this energy to protect you. Number 6, to create a thriving environment, to create your domain that will allow you to step into your highest expression. Number 7 is totems, something that you can carry with you that will serve as a symbol of protection, so that no matter where you are, you will be able to have that to shield you from whatever energies may be trying to leak in. It's been a pleasure being with you on this journey, my friends. I love each and every one of you, and let me know in the comments below what you think about this, which tip that you like best. And also let me know if there are any tips that you'd like to add. What works best for you? What do you use to protect yourself? Whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually. I would love to hear your comments, and I'd love to connect with you. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day, week, month, year, and that this video gives you another tool for which to work with to help you to step into the best version of yourself and activate those divine fire codes. Peace, love, namaste, my friend.